Tonight my guest is Minister Naledi Pandor, the freshly minted new Minister for Home Affairs, just appointed by President Jacob Zuma. Minister, thank you so much for joining us. Let me start off by just congratulating you on your new post. Is this a surprise? Did you expect this?
Well, good evening, and thank you very much for the congratulations. And well, I'm honored that President Zuma appointing me and showing faith in me, given the excellent job that had been done by Minister Dlamini Zuma. I'm rather daunted by her reputation, and I will be, working very closely with her in order to ensure that I don't have any missteps in this new appointment.
Now, I understand, of course, you will be sworn in tomorrow in a formal ceremony.
I understand there is a swearing in, but I'm not certain that current ministers are sworn in. It's probably the new Minister of Science and Technology. I'm not absolutely certain as to how it works, but I think you are a minister already, so I'm not absolutely sure of the process that will unfold.
You were saying earlier that, Minister Dlamini Zuma, who's now the new AU chair, of course, left, a department that is quite well run, that is functioning. Off the top of your head, what would be your first order of business? I would assume just familiarizing yourself with what's going on there.
Well, certainly get to know the department. She, I think, established an excellent team, and clearly the results are in the work that has been done. And I hope I'll have the benefit of working with that team, and that together we will build on the record that she has established.
Now, of course, you have been in the position of science and technology, and you have achieved quite remarkable success. South Africa was awarded, the SKA, and of course it has recalibrated in a way the way in which the scientific community looks not just at South Africa but at Africa, and you on record as saying that this changes the way Africa is perceived. What are your main achievements as Science and Technology Minister, as you exiting this position and going into a new one?
Well, I was really fortunate that I was able to build on what others had done. And I think this is what's absolutely imperative for executive members, is not to constantly try and, recreate and do new things and, believe everything is greenfield. So I benefited from work that had been done by former ministers. For example, the SKA bid and deliberations are an old process that began in the Mbeki era, and I was very lucky that I was able to see it to a successful conclusion. We launched the Sumbandila satellite successfully in Russia, and it served us well in terms of providing us with the kind of data that we wanted. We also now have successfully acquired National Treasury funding for a further satellite program for South Africa, and I'm excited at that. Then I saw into life the establishment of the Technology Innovation Agency, as well as the South African National Space Agency. So those are in place, and I would say human capital development was very important to me, and the need for us to ensure that our postgraduate support levels are of a character, both that allows us to attract more and more young people, but secondly, to retain them in the academy until they complete their degrees. So we improved the grants through the National Research Foundation and really began to see the numbers coming up, and the funding of students at that level improving at an exponential level, which I'm very thrilled about. More needs to be done, but at least we've made that jump. Then I think crowning glory was May 25, 2012, when the announcement was made that the majority of the square kilometer array will be built in Africa. It's a game changer for the continent, places us in a very different space, both in terms of research and development, architecture, but also the relationship with the global scientific community. Suddenly, we have become the future premier destination for astronomy research. If you don't do your research in future using the SKA, you won't be doing good astronomy sciences research. And where will you do it? In Africa, and some of it in Australia and New Zealand. So I think the South-South link, very exciting, but really that achievement by our scientists and our team in South Africa of securing the majority of that bid is, for me, I will pinch myself every day for the next decade probably about this.
Yeah. Of course, it is a portfolio, science and technology, that requires a lot of innovation, research, issues that are very close to your heart. You were a former education minister, so of course there's great overlap, and you have intimate understanding of both the needs of graduates, but also some of the shortcomings in the system. In your tenure as science and technology minister, what were the efforts that were placed on young people and equipping them to be able to fulfill their role, in a world that is constantly changing?
Well, we've done some exciting things, but as always in South Africa, more needs to be done. But I think the expansion of our National Science Week and the fact that it now takes place at over 80 centers throughout the country, and therefore has become really a truly national initiative, attracting hundreds of thousands of young people and introducing them to science, is very, very important. And a lot of work we've done through our Youth into Science strategy has, I think, begun to help us to address that issue of the pipeline. Because much as I'm excited at funding the postgraduate level, if we do not get the young people from school with maths and science competence, our future ambitions mean nothing. So I think the Youth into Science work, the science advancement work through SASTA, the building of science centers, especially the one we opened at Northwest University Mafeking campus, so addressing those who are often marginal in terms of our thinking. These have been some of the exciting developments that we have seen, leading us into seeing more and more young people enter science. I was also thrilled last year that we launched the South African Young Academy of Sciences, SAIS, where young scientists who are honors, masters, doctoral level have agreed to become part of the Global Academy, a Youth Academy of Sciences, and have established a South African branch, and are now working within SADC to establish similar associations in the SADC region, and hopefully will then enter the entire African continent to start building this massive wall of interest and support for advancing Africa into the knowledge economy. That's really, I think, some of the work we've begun to do, where we are entrenching the notion that Africa cannot rely on extractive practices, on its mineral resources, but needs to build a knowledge base in order to advance us to the next level of development.
Now, of course, this almost paradigm shift, if you like, this realization that South Africa cannot grow in a sea of underperformers, both in our region, our immediate region, SADC, and of course the broader continent, has forced everyone to focus their work within that regional hub and continental hub. Minister, take us through the partnerships between South Africa and other African countries, particularly in the areas of science and technology. Africa is known for many things, but not often for its scientific, achievements. During your tenure as Science and Technology Minister, what would you say were the kind of, landmark achievements that we've been able to get to within SADC and within the continent?
Karima, when we were bidding for the square kilometre array, when we introduced the notion of the African partner countries as part of the bid of Africa, the Australians thought it was a bit of a joke and thought because we had 8 partner countries, our bid was a weak bid. But actually, in the end, it turned out to be a strength. So I think the SKA partnership is a very important one, and that involves 8 other African countries. But building on it, we're now working on a VLBI, which is a network of radio telescopes throughout the African continent. So all 54 African countries eventually are going to have a radio astronomy facility which we will support along with other international partners and utilize as a connection with other networks on other continents of the world. So we're becoming part of the global scientific architecture. So our partnership at the moment is with 8 countries, among them Mozambique, Ghana, Namibia, Botswana, Zambia, but we intend to go well beyond that work. Then we have partnerships in the health sciences with countries such as Mozambique, with Uganda, as well as with Nigeria, where we're working together on a number of initiatives. We are also using our institutions in South Africa because we've got a very good architecture of science councils to assist other African countries to establish similar science councils. So for example, at the CSIR, they've developed a very useful packaging for fruit juices, which allows us to preserve the fruit juices for much longer periods. That packaging is now in use internationally, but we have a partnership with Uganda, one to help them develop a fruit juice industry, because they have loads of bananas, pineapples, and all kinds of fruit, which is not being used for economic purposes. So the CSIR is working with the Ministry of Science in Uganda to support them in developing this fruit industry. And the partnership has brought in Limpopo as well, where we have quite a thriving fruit industry. So we're building a fruit juice business development initiative using our South African technology to work with our colleagues in Uganda.
Mm-hmm. Now, Minister, of course, the whole idea is to locate innovation, science and technology within a broader economic and social context. And of course, South Africa is not unique, but we have intractable problems. We have inequality, we have poverty, we have unemployment. How does the work that you've done when you were the Science and Technology Minister locate, its work within that broader kind of framework?
Well, a lot of what we do in science and technology really is directed at addressing the key problems South Africa faces, which have been defined as inequality, poverty, and unemployment. We've been very fortunate. We have a program called the Sector Budget Support Program, which seeks to use science and technology for poverty alleviation through creating enterprises in vulnerable communities. We've worked in the Tsanin area of Limpopo with a community in a village called Ngowa, where we have begun to develop a number of products out of the oil that you get from pressing the marula seed. And that marula oil has led us to produce shampoo, hair conditioner, and a skin oil out of the tissue oil, a number of products. So the value addition of just that oil, which from a fruit that many people eat, throw away the pip, we've done it, picked it up, created enterprises. People are pressing the oil. We've taught them how to do that. We work with the enterprise unit of Sasol, as well as with chemical engineers from Sasol. We've taught them the science, we've put the equipment in place, and we've created entrepreneurs. I met a woman who told me, Minister, I'm the first of the 1,000 years in Ngowa, and I'm going to be a millionaire soon. Because I have a hairdresser, we're using all of this. I've created a salon where we do massages for customers, and I've employed a number of young women who are using these products. We're very excited at how technology is helping us, because you must quality assure, you must have the right mix, and all of that is being done through the Sector Budget Support Program, which is a 300 million rand partnership with the European Union.